This is Patriot Sentinel, where truth doesn't whisper, it roars. Hosted by Rarchar Tortorello, we're cutting through the noise to talk government, politics, fairness, the Constitution, community, and God. Stand up, speak out. The watch begins now.
Good evening, Patriot Sentinel fans. Rarchar Tortorello. I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. Last night's primary was an eye-opener. I had predicted at least 500,000 Republican primary participants, but we didn't beat the all-time record in 2018 with 452,000 primary Republican participants. We had about 400,000 participate last night, and nonetheless, it was a good primary. We had a lot of good candidates running. As we stated last week, we had our predictions, we had our endorsements, and last night Republicans went to the polls, and we discovered something so shocking that it was harder to pick a governor than picking a menu off the Crackle Barrel entree list. So, Drummond and Mazzei finished so close that the state election board is probably going to need a magnifying glass and a prayer. We're going to do it all over again, August 25th. We have two strong candidates, and we're looking for one nomination to go to November. President Trump went to last night with three big bets in Oklahoma: Hern for Senate, Mazzei for governor, T.W. Shannon for lieutenant governor. Hern and Shannon won outright. Mazzei is in a runoff. Again, Trump is batting 1,000, and the power of the Trump endorsement is something that the Democrats cannot get past. Kevin Hern heads into the Senate. The treasurer's office is changing hands, and the minimum wage got nowhere. Cam, get in there, bro.
Hey, so Richard, hey, do me a favor. First of all, yesterday was insane. Second of all, half of Oklahoma is completely confused on what happened. Who won? Who didn't win? Can you elaborate a little bit more about what happened yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go forward, I want to introduce our two guests tonight. Former Representative Mike Reynolds, my good friend and a good friend of the show. Mike, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And Tyler Henderson of the Tyler Henderson podcast. Tyler, how are you doing, bro?
I'm feeling pretty good. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
I'm happy to have you here. I saw this guy's video last week on Twitter, and I didn't know who he was. And he's coming on. He's got and we'll try to play it today. The Chip Keating jackets, and it was the funniest shit ever. And it just so happened, I don't know how he contacted me or how we got in touch with each other here, but I went to go watch a couple of his podcasts, and they're pretty funny. And he's 18 years old, and this is probably his first election. Is that right?
Yeah, I voted in my school board election a couple months ago, but other than that, no, this is the first big one. I'm excited. Even though my guy didn't win, it's okay. Hopefully these other two guys just wake up.
Yeah. So here's the 30-second board clearer. Kevin Hern wins outright, no runoff. For governor, we have Drummond at 26%, Mike Mazzei at 26%. There was about 1,000 vote difference between the two men. T.W. Shannon went outright. I was tracking it, and I was hoping that before the polls closed, he was at 48%, and our friend Daryl Weaver looked like he was coming into second place. I shut the phone off to get on the highway to come back to Cleveland County, and he went past 50, went to 53, and Daryl called it last night. Good race. Attorney General, we called it. Cam, Jon Echols won outright last night. I wonder what those folks at Oak Pack are thinking about today and all day. That was a big mistake. Treasurer Cindy Byrd defeats incumbent Todd Russ. Labor Commissioner Kevin West versus Don Pfeiffer, runoff in August. State Superintendent. Now I would say it was an upset, but I would hope that John Cox had made the run. But it's Robert Franklin versus James Taylor runoff in August. State Question 832 was defeated. 55% of the people in Oklahoma said no, and I'm glad, and everyone should be glad. Cam, back to you, bro.
Trump backed up 3 of the top tickets there, and 2 were clean wins, and 1 was a striking difference with a runoff. So where I see this is 832 got slapped in the face with the unions. All these things are going on. Big win for Oklahoma. Every Republican that, again, from top to bottom, no complaints. I'm really happy that everybody did their thing. What do you think, Mike? Yesterday, what are your thoughts about yesterday?
Well, gosh, we got a bunch of them, but 832, I'm not so sure the unions took it on the chin. I don't know if the unions are that big on minimum wage, and I don't really want to alienate from the unions. I think George Soros and his ilk took it on the chin on that deal, but who knows who really took it on the chin. I do think that it caused a bunch of turnout that might not have come otherwise. And that may have had some impact on. There's some strange results from yesterday, and that may be because people went to vote on 832 and they didn't have a clue except what they saw on TV about the other candidates.
Tyler, you voted. Okay, was this the first time you voted? You just turned 18, right? Are you 18 or you're 19?
I'm 18. I'm almost 19 in July.
Okay, so this is your first election you voted in, and
Yes.
what do you think? What were your thoughts about yesterday's primary, and how did you end up with Team Keating?
Okay, so I was disappointed, obviously. I really wanted Keating to win. I think he was our only path forward. The way that I ended up with Team Keating is I literally had no idea who to back in this election. I didn't really like Drummond. I didn't like Mazzei, McCall. And Keating automatically stood out to me. So I literally messaged him on Facebook and said, hey, I want to help any way that I can. I want Chip on my show. And they sent me the field director of the campaign's number. And we started working together. And Keating came on my show. And I've been knocking doors, putting out signs, making phone calls, stuff like that. Just volunteer work on the team and stuff like that. There are some good things that came from the election. There are some really bad things that came. State question 832 not passing is a good thing. I did not see a Drummond and Mazzei runoff ever. I didn't see that in a million years. But, hey, I just hope that whoever gets elected wakes up and they do what needs to be done.
I agree with you. Mike, back to you. What did last night tell you about where the Oklahoma GOP is heading right now?
Where the party's heading? Well,
Yes.
I think that there was, there was a lot of disappointment in some areas and encouragement. I don't know. I think the grassroots had a big impact this year, but the impact was to excite the money people to donate record amounts of money because they were scared for their candidates. And, taking the money out of the equation, if the grassroots continue, they're going to start winning elections for true Republicans in Oklahoma. They can't give up just because things didn't go their way yesterday.
True enough. Hern took 67% in a 5-way race. Trump endorsed, obviously replaces a seat that was open by Markwayne Mullen. Congressional District 1 will be settled in August, next on the 25th. And this is kind of breaking news, but I did publish it this morning. You guys heard that Jackson Meyer, he dropped out of CD1, and Mark Tedford is now the winner of that primary, and he heads to the November general election. Man, this Lamar thing, I would never have thought in 100 years when this started. There are so many people that backed him that had early voted, if you read the comments. But I think he lost last night, not with Trump, especially with Trump. But I think, Cam, where Lamar hurt last night was after the early votings came in, those numbers dropped. I was expecting him to be a little higher, but it never happened last night, even with the Trump endorsement.
No, I think that what happened is he He got hit, right at the knees. The last week where you have a hard time rebuttaling an allegation, whether it's true or not. And when he brought that statement on X, he didn't deny it or any of that. So I think that really hurt him. I think that unfortunately, if you don't vet your candidates correctly and you don't do the process, if you endorse the wrong person, you're going to get smacked. So again, that's politics. If you want to run for office, uh, they're going to find everything out about you, the good and the bad. So, Lawmeyer just had a little tarnish in his record, and people exploited that.
Well, Tyler, you had a smirk on your face. What were you thinking about when I made that announcement?
I was just thinking about everything I've seen on X about him, and that's wild stuff. And then I don't know if you've seen, but Trump endorsed another guy after he dropped out this morning.
Mark Tedford. He's the other Republican. So there's a big field in CD1, and Mark Tedford came in first last night, and so it was a shocker, but not a shocker. But for the people your age, I mean, God, you're turning 19 soon. What do you think about what's happening with the adults in the room?
They're not there, and if they are there, they are totally influenced by Fox News. They don't, and this is not a knock to you guys, but most adults aren't forming their own opinion. They're listening to whatever comes on the news, and the news stations are biased. Well, no, I'm talking about Fox, CBS. These stations are biased. They have something that they want you to believe. They have an agenda that they push. And when they're listening to this, they're being brainwashed, essentially. You need to do your own research now more than ever. And they're not doing it.
Good point. Hey, back to you, Mike. This is Joe. Your thoughts on Maymar first, and then I want to switch it over to Hern. And is it the same Hern that was in the House? You think the Senate will change him? Start with Maymar first. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I hope the man makes it right. Apparently, he's already made it right with his wife, but allegedly, you could say that with the admissions he's already made, there's enough there. That man, I don't believe, was very truthful with President Trump. I don't think he was truthful with the voters. And so I think that this ought to be a message to everybody that wants to hide things like that. It's going to come out. They have got people out there searching, and it's going to come out, and you've got no business, if you've got things like that in your closet, running for office and tearing down the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, or anybody else, because you skew the elections. We had 12 candidates, so you expect it to go to a runoff, and it doesn't because of that kind of a scandalous behavior. I hope that's a message that other people learn. With regards to Hern, I guess we've got 33% of the people that have no clue who Kevin Hern is, if he only got 67% of the vote. Because, the man was actually nominated to be the Speaker of the House, and that wasn't because he was a flaming liberal. It's because he was one of the most conservative members of Congress. And I think Kevin Hern, I don't think we could have done any better than Kevin Hern as our nominee for the U.S. Senate.
I agree. Cam, this guy owned a bunch of McDonald's in Oklahoma. He made his fortune as a franchisee. He's a small business guy, success story. But does it still make him a winner with the Gen Z conservatives, Cam?
I think so. The learning curve is going to be minimal, and he's able to plug in and go. So I think he's the right guy. And again, I don't think he has any tarnish in his record. When he was a congressman, him being a senator, I think is going to be an easy show in. I think he's going to help the state of Oklahoma at the end of the day.
Yeah. Did you raise your hand, Tyler?
No, I scratched my head.
You don't have to raise your hand. We are adults, but when we were in the green room, I'm going to put you in the spot, bro. He goes, "Can we make jokes about Trump?" So So make a joke about Trump. What was the first thing you were thinking about when you asked him that question?
Oh, I was just thinking about how Mike Mazzei paid Roger Stone $70,000 for his endorsement, but that's not funny to me. But I don't know. There's a lot of jokes that I make about Donald Trump every day. Donald Trump, I feel like betrayed us, so I'm really bitter. I'm like a insecure ex-wife.
We're gonna have to work on you.
Yeah.
Look. Okay, I'm gonna clear the field here. Roger Stone was not paid to get the Trump endorsement. He's a consultant, like some of us here on the show who are consultants, and the reason people hire us is because of our connection. And I'm going to tell you, for the folks that are listening who know me and may know Mike and Cam, when we work on campaigns, they bring us on the campaigns because of who we are connected with and our skill sets. And I can tell you for a fact that I know I've heard that a lot, Tyler, that he bought the Trump endorsement, but no, he did not buy the Trump endorsement. He worked for it. He did come number one in the non-doc poll, and Roger Stone's a good friend of ours. He's a good friend of mine, and that's he is that guy that you want on your side. And obviously, he is the guy that you want on your side. And so,
I was
Mike,
mostly kidding because that's not a confirmed fact. So, but I'm hearing that every day.
Look. I think people have a right to question things here, so I thought it was funny. And but I'm just saying, from the point of where we stand, Roger is a good friend of mine, and he knows his stuff. Mike knows his stuff. Cam knows his stuff here. And one day we will impart our wisdom to you so you can do this kind of stuff.
I'm a young blossoming flower, yeah.
Yeah, the ninja or I don't know, what's a Star Wars phrase we can throw in here? I don't know. Padawan?
Apprentice.
Whatever. Who's the evil?
Is it this one?
No, that's
I don't think so.
Nerd.
Who's this? Mr. Walter?
Ooh.
I don't know.
That is my aunt. Very single, Mike.
Oh, Mike!
Wait a minute. Mike is married, though, right?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, duh. Laymeyer. All right. Everyone knows we're good friends. That was not a cheap shot. Just don't do any texting, Mike. All right. Governor race, Drummond and Mazzei. They're two good people. I'm not opposed to Drummond, and I think Mazzei's a great guy too. Two strong finishers. It was a 9-person field. Attorney General Drummond, 26% of the votes, 26.3. He's been the legal handler for Oklahoma. There are Republicans that don't like his rulings. There are Democrats that hated his rulings. And the same is true. Mike Mazzei at 26%, former state senator, former secretary of the budget under Stitt, and Trump endorsed. He ran a self-funded campaign like most of them did, and it was about 1,000 votes between them. Everyone's looking forward to August 25th. Mike, you watch Drummond up close as Attorney General. You serve with Mazzei in the legislature, I believe. So what does each of them bring to the table that the other one doesn't?
Well, I'm not sure what both of them bring to the table. I've been disappointed in some of Drummond's court cases, in particular the one with the Winter Storm Uri. And people don't talk about that much, but that was an $8 billion hit to the Oklahoma taxpayers, and he didn't jump in there and try to save it. He jumped in on a couple of small companies, and that was the biggest issue for me. Mike Mazzei, when he was in the Senate, I had a lot of contact with the Senate. I didn't get to know Mike that well. I have now during the campaign cycle. One of the strangest knocks against Mike was the idea that why would someone spend that kind of money to get this job? And my response to that was, why did our founding fathers risk their entire fortunes to change America. So
And their
Mike
lives.
Mazzei would spend every penny he had. I'd prefer that to lobbyists making dark money contributions and everything else. That means a lot to me. So I think Mike would do a great job. I think either one is a good candidate, but they both probably know how to handle a budget. They both can deal with it. That's all I'll say.
A good point. Tyler, man, I got a question for you. Which one of the two candidates do you think the younger conservatives are flocking to right now, and how can you get that message out to your group?
We're not really big fans of either. Just to be honest, among the young conservative right, you see literally a hashtag Never Drummond on every post, because we all believe that Drummond is ideologically a Democrat, and that's not me bashing him. That's just me saying what's going on. Mike Mazzei, we've got to drug test him today. Today, we can't wait any longer. Drug test him today. But I don't if it in this runoff, which I never seen happening. I'm voting for Mike Mazzei because I was raised by drug addicts and I turned out okay. So I am gonna vote for Mike Mazzei because I don't like Gentner. I think he is a liberal, a flaming liberal at that. And if I was gonna vote for a Democrat, I would just vote for Cindy.
Cam, what are your thoughts on each candidate? Does one bring something to the table that the other one doesn't, vice versa?
Look, what Tyler said is what the young Republicans are about.
Mm-hmm.
They're bold. They'll tell you how it is, what they think. I'm excited 10 years from now when Tyler is in the GOP and he's more involved, where he's going to be at, because this is the level of energy we need. We need to have a conservative Republican energy coming in. To me, I just want to see a debate. I want to see who's going to last the longest between Drummond and Mazzei, because you want a governor who's going to just stick it out and not get tired. So I want to see who's going to be that person. But at the end of the day is, what the people say. One vote is not going to influence all the Oklahomans in Oklahoma. So kind of like Tyler, if I want to vote for somebody who has more of a liberal idea, then I have a person who I'm going to look at. If I have somebody who is more with stricter with the old school get along, then I have another person. So, I'm just kind of like in between. Who's going to be the better one at a debate?
All right, Cam, starting with you real quick. One sentence on who to watch for in the runoff starts, and then we'll go to Tyler and Mike.
I want to see Mazzei debate and just see how he's going to be able to articulate his point against Drummond, because if he doesn't and Drummond gets it, then we're going to have Cindy Munson. If Drummond is able to overcome his political views and be more conservative, then he has to beat Cindy Munson. At the end of the day, the monster is Cindy Munson, not Drummond or Mazzei.
Good point, Cam. Tyler?
One sentence to watch for is whatever Donald Trump posts on Truth Social, because he's about to start bashing Drummond, and it's over for Drummond. Mazzei's going to win, and it's going to be a Mazzei versus Cindy election.
Good. Mike?
My turn?
One sentence, bro.
Yeah. Mazzei's going to win. Let me be clear. I am absolutely for Mike Mazzei. And I don't care about mailers. And frankly, I don't care about debates, because I don't want the best debater to win. I want the best candidate to win. And that's and Mike doesn't come off well in speaking. But man, he's got the ideas that I'm for. And I'm I've had people tell me they wanted to make a fortune off of bumper stickers that said anybody but Gentner. So I'll be clear. Yeah, I'm a Mike Mazzei guy.
You know, I think my last sentence on this, my last word is that it's got to be Mike Mazzei defeating Drummond in August, because we do need a monster. We need every Republican behind Mazzei going into November. You know, we can't stay home this time. I'm surprised that we didn't have a record turnout and beat our 2018 numbers.
We did not.
And we did not. And that's, you know, I was surprised that we would break that last night. So, you know, Mazzei, look, Mike, when you and I were in office, we weren't always perfect. We had our flaws and we learned.
Speak for yourself.
But, well, I'm speaking from you. I did a lot. I mean, and you did too. I'm not saying nothing to be, but you are a great representative as well. What I'm saying is that you know, people. I had conversations, and they're texting me last night, and they say we want you to support Drummond, and of course, you know, I hope that. Look, if anything last night, that Chip Keating and Charles McCall get behind Mazzei going forward. Put aside the sides and work together. And that's what it means to be a conservative Republican. T.W. Shannon in the lieutenant governor's race, man, this guy blew it out at 53.8%. No runoff. Like I said earlier in the green room, I was expecting he was below 50. And Daryl Weaver, great friend of the program, I thought it would be a runoff. But you hang the phone up for 20 minutes, and things change. I'm going to ask Mike this question. You know, you've known Shannon, you served together. What do you think about Mike TW?
I think it was crushing, but not a victory. It was a crushing defeat for all the money that he spent to get 53% of the vote, for all the work he did to get 53% of the vote. That was pretty crushing. I think they were probably expecting 60 or 65%. And if he'd gone to a runoff, I suspect he might have been beaten because T.W. Shannon, I believe, with all my being, that he is simply the tribe's representative that they want in Congress, and they're positioning him for that. So I think T.W. Shannon took it on the chin last night.
Interesting. You know, Cam, TW's been around Oklahoma politics since, you know, for a long time. Do you think that's a strength or a liability?
He's been building his Rolodex when he went to DC. So hopefully he does something good for Oklahoma. I hope he has a really good program, kind of like Matt Pinnell did with the expansion of the tourist attraction side, you know, just bringing tourism into Oklahoma. I hope TW either continues or has something to that degree.
Good point. Tyler, the guy's been in office since you were before middle school, right? What about young time, first-time voters? How do you guys see TW?
Well, it's a strength and a weakness. It's a strength because, was he the best lieutenant governor option? I believe so. But it's a weakness because, like you said, he's been in government since before I was in middle school. And what have you really done that stands out? As long as you're going to be America first and Oklahoma first in this instance, you're pretty credible with the youth, but you have to prove that.
You know what I like to see you guys do, Tyler, on your podcast and your group. I want to see a bunch of TikTok videos on the governor's race and lieutenant governor's race. I want to see. We should have a contest. I think Cam, Mike, what do you think about this? Let's have a contest. And I want Tyler to lead this. Who can create the best campaign video, either for or against all the candidates? I think Tyler,
I can make one against everyone except for TW.
No. Look, you. Okay, I want you to enlist your peers, and I want you guys to come up with a bunch of videos. Okay, We will be the judges, and the audience will
You
be
know
the
we can't do
judges.
that. We had less than a 10% voter turnout rate. We obviously don't care. Yeah, I
Well,
can't rally my peers.
I want you to care. I think we should have a prize. Let's find some sponsors, Mike. I think if we have a cash prize, this always works with the Turning Point kids, is that if we offer a cash prize for the best campaign video, say $1,000, we'll get everyone out. I mean, you should think about that, Tyler. I want to put that on you. Just
Hey,
let that
I mean,
percolate,
I'm all for
brah,
some
brah.
competition. Okay, I didn't mean to say that earlier. I'm a
No,
bro sayer too. We relate. We both say bro.
All right, Jon Echols, good friend of ours. 55%. There was 2 polls. I was kind of worried, but Jon pulled it out, and he is the best guy, best man for the job, and he faces a Democrat in November, and we need to make sure that everyone gets out to look at it. But I'm going to start with Tyler. The Attorney General's office is where a lot of these issues your generation cares about that plays out. Free speech, big tech, parental rights, school policy. Your audience, what do you and your audience want in the next Attorney General? What do you want him to be focused on first, your generation? Tyler?
Well, okay, we don't want them focused on what their political affiliation is before they run for governor. We want them to, number one, uphold the state laws and the state's best interest because that is ultimately their job. And if there's any corruption, they need to figure it out because they are the chief law enforcement officer or whatever that is. So if there is corruption, and we know there is in Oklahoma, they need to be focused on rooting that out as well. Not focusing on an upcoming governor race.
True. Cam, you were at Jon Echols' watch party last night, and so were you, Mike. We'll start with you, Cam. How was it like? What was the atmosphere like?
It was great. It was great. You could tell that there were people who were a little bit nervous, but again, it's the Bulldog. I knew the Bulldog was going to come through, and he's going to be the next Attorney General. Democrat who? Come on. They can't even find the corruption when the corruption is in front of them in Minnesota. Come on.
Yeah.
True. Mike, you were there, all right? Did you tell me this morning you were there?
I dropped by. Yeah. I'm pretty old here because Jon graduated from high school with my daughter, and she's got a 13-year-old son. So man, I'm getting there. But yeah, Jon. He ran a great campaign. I don't think I've ever seen so much nasty email against someone that probably Larry Nichols tossed out. And good riddance. Go to Houston, Devin. Just send us back our $350 million in TIF money.
All right, next on to the treasurer's race. I want to say this was the biggest surprise last night. Former state auditor Cindy Byrd defeated incumbent Todd Russ, 62 to 38%. He underperformed. Todd's a friend of this show as well. He's a guy who's been given a lot of years of public service in the state. Byrd, she termed out as a state auditor, and she made that late call in the spring to jump into the treasurer's race, and she built that coalition fast by bringing that coalition in from when she was running for lieutenant governor. So, Mike, Todd Russ has a long record of service. How do you feel about this, and how do you feel about his loss?
Well, Todd and Cindy have both been friends, and I'm not quite sure what happened for the margin to be as big as it was, but I'm expecting that there may be something to do with the fact that Cindy's a female being in play, and women may have said, I got a female on the ballot. I really don't know, but Cindy's also been on the statewide ballot twice, Todd only once, and so she's well known, and I don't know of anybody that disrespects the work that she was doing as the state auditor. So you think maybe she defeated an incumbent. I don't know if she defeated an incumbent. People went to the polls and they go, Byrd, Russ. they're both incumbents. People didn't even know which office they were serving in, and they picked Byrd. So I'm not quite sure how the analysis of that race came out, but I know Cindy will do a great job.
I would agree with you. Tyler, again, she did a lot online. She knew, and she had a great team behind her on the online part too as well. So, in the social media game, that is the ground game for every campaign. If you do not have a social media ground game, that is detrimental to you advancing. But did that break through for younger voters?
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that she used a lot of like populist rhetoric, and we are a populist state, really. We are. And she had a lot of like populist behavior, and I think that resonated with everybody, especially right now the state of the world is in, is we need a lot. Populism is going to resonate the most with especially the young people. And I think that's how she did it. And I think she's a great candidate. I didn't pay much attention, but from the stuff I have seen of Cindy Byrd, it's a lot of populist rhetoric, which is not bad. It's actually a really good tactic if she wanted to win. So,
yeah. What are your thoughts on Cindy Byrd? You know her better than I do. Thoughts on that race?
Yeah, campaign strategy, great execution. Because I was going to say, I think Todd wasn't ready for it. Now, she's been building her base for over a year through the state auditor. So if you look at the Tulsa education audit they did, she found out that there was $500 million that were misappropriated. So of course that's going to create waves of news because the state auditor found that. So I think that was one of the big things that really pushed her over the line. And again, Todd did great work, but the people voted the way the people voted, and Cindy is the person. Cindy is the word.
Oh no, you did not say that. Okay, all right, all right. I'm gonna let you lead into the labor commissioner's race, Cam, cool guy.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna let you lead into the labor commissioner's race.
Woo, that labor commissioner, Kevin West got it. He pushed it. I've seen him perform at the within the GOP, but he got the primary. Lisa Janlu, she hit 76 counties, and unfortunately, she underperformed. I think she did a great job, and I hope she doesn't stop because I think she's going to be a great candidate. She just got to find that fitting, and once she gets it, she's going to get it. But Kevin West, he did his thing, and he got the popular vote. So, hey, I hope he does his thing for labor commissioner because we truly need someone to look over how some agencies have corrupted their ways through HR and have damaged Oklahoma employees. I hope he does a good job doing that.
Good point. Do you want to ask Tyler or Mike any questions? Any follow-up questions, bro?
Hey, Tyler, tell me, for the younger audience, what do you think about this commissioner race? Do you think we did the right choice, or do you think it could have been done? Or who would be your perfect labor commissioner?
I'm going to tell you something brutally honest and embarrassing. I didn't pay any attention to the commissioner race, so now I just look like an idiot.
That's okay. And I was going to say,
I actually didn't fill in a square because I didn't know that was even going to be on the ballot.
Yeah. What about Mike? What do you think?
Well, I've got a little bit different take than Tyler. I don't even think it should be on the ballot. I think that the labor commissioner and the Department of Education should be appointed. And I'd like to see the legislature work on that. But maybe they won't because there's a whole bunch of people in the legislature think, hey, when I term limit out, I can run for those offices and get a new job. Now, I'm not saying that that's what the current people are trying to do, although that's what Pfeiffer's trying to do. And And I just pray that Kevin West will overcome the onslaught that he's about to get, since Pfeiffer is going to be well funded by the side of the aisle that I don't really trust, since he was part of leadership in the House of Representatives.
That's going to be an interesting race. All right. State Superintendent, this was another upset. So I thought John Cox would pull it out this time. You know, he's like Lisa Jan Liu went around the state. But we got James Taylor, good friend, and Mr. Franklin. I don't know who he is. I've never met him before. But what's your thoughts on this, Mike? You probably know Franklin. I don't know nothing about him, but do you know James Taylor?
I do.
Okay.
James, I don't know if you recall, but there was a group that Bob Daney and I started at the H&H gun range called the High Noon Club. And years ago, and it's kind of ran its course, and we've stopped it. But James was a good friend, and he showed up for that, and he decided to run for office 2 or 3 times. But the stunning thing about that race is, like you said, Franklin, I kind of pay attention to candidates a little bit, a lot. I didn't know his name, and I knew James, and so that, I think that just shows, I'm not trying to use this as a derogatory term, the voters' ignorance, because I was ignorant of a bunch of the candidates there also. I was just excited to see that they roundly rejected Adam Pugh, because that's the last person I wanted to see as the head of the Department of Education. And again, to me, it ought to be an appointed position. The governor should be determining who he wants to be the head of the Department of Education, and we shouldn't be wasting our time with elections there. But as long as we do, there you have it.
Cam, I mean, I've heard a lot of people in our circle say the same thing too. We need to make that an appointed position. But do you know either Franklin or James Taylor at this point?
No, I'll be honest with you. If you're not involved with the GOP, how are you going to be a representative of the Republican Party? Like, to me, that is misleading to your own people. So if you're not involved with your Republican Party, if you're not showing up to your county, if you're not showing up to the state convention, how am I going to be able to understand who you are, or even have a simple conversation?
It's a good point. You know, I don't think either man was GOP certified. And I think that if you want support from the GOP, which is all of us, you need to participate in the GOP. So we'll see how this plays out. And I would like leadership to make that change and make it, you know, look, we can't force them to do something. But as this state leadership matures, I want them to, bring more people into the party, so we become more relevant across the state. And that's not the first time, Cam, I've heard people say that, neither men have been involved in the GOP, and we have to change that. Tyler, state superintendent, these are the guys that decide what you learn in school, what happens in school, what happens in classrooms here. Do you know any of these men or women that ran for this position?
I voted for Cox, but he didn't win. I don't know these guys.
Do you know what they do, though? I mean, you know how they impact. So Ryan Walters, the late state superintendent, what do you think? How do you think he did? And will you go and investigate James Taylor and Franklin to see if they are like Ryan Walters, or are they totally different from Ryan Walters?
So you hear a lot about Ryan Walters, and I'm gonna be honest, I never ever paid attention to Oklahoma politics prior to this governor race. Like, if it weren't for people commenting on my YouTube telling me to cover it, I always thought Oklahoma was boring. But I hear all this stuff about Ryan Walters, and I'm like, whoa, what have I been missing? Fun videos on the smart board, stuff like that. I would have loved to have talked about that, seen that even. But yeah, I'll do some research into him. I don't know anything about Ryan Walters. I just graduated, so I think I survived through his term. And I don't think that
Well,
we're going to fix education with any superintendent. I think that the
okay,
education problem starts at home.
exactly. I want to ask you before we go to the next segment. In the classrooms, okay, the allegations were a lot of schools were woke, had a lot of left-leaning teachers and administration staff. Um, in your last couple of years in high school, did you see any of that? Like, was there the gay flags in the classroom? I mean, what did you experience? I mean, you're the one who's credible right now because you were just there.
Okay, I went to Henrietta, and there was only about 4 people that wore butt plug tails, so it wasn't like a huge big deal for me. There I didn't see any gay flags, but I mean, there was some weird people there, man. Like there was a
And,
few weirdos, and we all made fun of them collectively. So it was okay. Bullying does work, but I don't. I never seen a litter box in my classroom. I only seen butt plug tails, which is fine if that's what you like. Uh, no, I'm just being serious. I mean that's just honest. Like it's not as blown out as they make it, or at least not at Henrietta. Like they try to tell you that there's gay pride flags in every classroom. It's just not true. It's just overblown. I mean, yeah, there's gay kids, there's gay adults. You just leave them alone. I mean, you bully them a little bit, but not too much.
well, look, I have nothing against the gays. Lead your life. I just wish that I think we need a Rock Hudson gay club. We want gays. Love whoever you want to love, but don't force it on the rest of us, and don't put it in our face.
Yeah,
I mean, you
please
wouldn't
don't
want
make
us
me
to put.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, and if you're gonna wear like butt plugs or whatever, like
Dude, it was
I,
weird, man. It was
were
weird.
they any used anal beads around anyone's neck?
No, but some people wore dog collars. No, I'm not kidding you. Like, this is the
Mike is
world that
over
we live
here.
in.
Mike
Like,
Mike is
literally
thinking
got
this
put
is.
them on a leash and walked them outside. And some of them were really hot chicks. Like, you don't understand this. No, 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 no. You don't understand this. Some of the some of the lesbians are really hot. Some of the ones wearing dog collars, and you don't understand till you're there, and you have to be like, whoa, no, wait, you're actually gross. What? Yeah, it's
Okay,
insane.
okay. All right, bro. Last segment tonight here. Um, State question 832. I've been campaigning against it. Everybody has been campaigning against it. If state question passed, Oklahoma's minimum wage would go from $7.25 to $15. And the voters overwhelmingly said no, 55%. The only ballot items that independents and libertarians would vote on. So, Mike, I'm going to start with you, the senior legislature. Was this about the policy or about who was funding the campaign?
I don't know. I don't know. It's don't know who funded the campaign. That's a problem with campaigns the last few years with all the dark money. You don't know who's funding what or why. But I'm glad that people had enough sense to ignore passing that. It'll be interesting to see what the turnout was between Republicans and Democrats. You couldn't equate it all to being Democrats voted for it and Republicans voted against it, because I suspect there was a lot more Republican turnout. So there's no question that some of the Republicans voted for it, but they just don't understand what it'll do to the Oklahoma economy. And I believe in anyway. Yeah, I wasn't surprised at the results. I was surprised that people were so scared it might pass. Towards the end, that's what I was hearing. Is like, man, we got to get people out to vote. It's polling that it's going to pass, and it's like, wow, I would have never believed that.
I don't think I've ever worked a minimum wage job. In fact, I did write the article that most Oklahomans were paid higher than the minimum wage, between $20 to $25 an hour to start. And the reason why I was against this, and it's just more common sense, is that the minimum wage was made for people to get into the workforce. It was never made as a sustainable living wage. But there are occasional people, like, Mike, we know a lot of people our age can too, that have been divorced and they have to start someplace. But again, the majority of Oklahomans, Mike, do not start out at $7.25. The only people I would support, and Trump has with his no tax on tips, are the guys in the service industry. Okay. And a lot of those folks appreciate what Trump did with the big beautiful bill. And I know a lot of folks got a big fat refunds this year from last year.
Mm-hmm.
But the average person, Nicole and her staff, I don't think anyone makes less than, the first time employee, less than $20 an hour. Cam, it doesn't really affect you on the civil service side, but what do you think? Did the voters say no to the policy or no to the people who were funding the campaign?
Both. I'll be honest with you, both. I think 832. Again, I'm a firm believer of free market. Let the free market do its course within the people.
Mm-hmm.
Let the quality of the worker speak for themselves. Like, if you have somebody who's doing their job and going beyond what they are required, they're not going to get paid $7.25. Come on.
Yeah.
Let the free market do its course. Let the people decide how to work it. And if you're underpaying people, guess what's going to happen? Someone else is going to pay more and they're going to move to that place.
That's right.
So let the free market do its thing.
Tyler, every minimum wage, the campaign that they ran here in Oklahoma and around the nation, one of their talking points was that we want to help young workers. So you are one of those young workers they're talking about. So why do you think 55% of Oklahomans said no, probably including a lot of people in your generation that would say heck no to this? And what are your thoughts on the campaign? What did they get wrong about your peer group?
Well, they think that we are idiots. Number one. Raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, and I'm not even kidding you. So you think that some tweaker can go get a job for 2 weeks before they physically can't do it anymore because they're withdrawing? You think that they deserve to go out and make a minimum wage of $15 an hour? Sorry, don't think so. Okay, $7.25, maybe not. Maybe $7.25 is a little low. Could we have raised it to $9, $10 an hour and that be okay? Sure. But when you go and you raise that by up to $15 an hour, that's going to make everything else go higher. That's going to kill the middle class. We're good because most of us are lower to middle class, especially in Oklahoma. But I just want to ask you, how many people do you know actually making $7.25? How many people do you know? Can you even count one person that you know that's making $7.25? Because I can't. I don't know a soul making $7.25 that's not at least making a tip with it.
The senior legislature on this panel, Mike Reynolds, what are your thoughts on the future? Do you think they're going to try to file this again, or is it a done deal?
Well, I think that they can't file it for 2 or 3 years. I don't know. They could have been sounding the waters. Who knows what America will be like in 2 or 3 years? I can't. The collapse I've seen in the last few years is astounding. So, these issues never go away. They never go away. So they may try to come back with some other method, whatever. But the minimum wage, it's not the minimum wage because they're getting. I'm sure all of them are getting insurance benefits and other things of that nature. And it's, you hear the tired rhetoric. No one can live off of this. That's not what it's intended for. We're not trying to pay everybody a living wage. We're trying to get people where they can actually work, make themselves better. You get a job at $7.25 an hour. You're putting some money in the bank, you like it, and then you go look for a job for $12 an hour, and then you go look for a job for $15 an hour. At least you got started, and this will kill starting. So it died, and it should have died a much bigger death, but unfortunately it didn't.
Well, that's true. Hey, any predictions for the runoffs? What do you think? Any upsets going forward? Mike?
You want me to jump in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Until my computer crashed today, I'd already compiled a list of the runoffs. I think there's some important races, and I can't even call them out right now. The one thing that stands out to me is if I check the records correctly, and I only checked state offices, and I didn't go to the county races and stuff like county commissioners and school. Well, there's no school boards, but whatever. There's only one Democratic runoff, and I think there's something like between the legislature and statewide offices. I forget, somewhere 12, 15 Republican runoffs. I have been making the case for some time that they're looking for a place to put school board elections. They need to put them at the runoff date. Serves two purposes. Number one, the ballot's not crowded. So they say we can't put it at the general election because people already have two or three pieces of paper. We can't do it at the general election. Okay, you put it at the runoff, here's what it's going to do. All the Republican primary voters, the hardcore Republicans, are going to start electing who's on the school boards. Now, that's the last thing that the leadership in the legislature wants. They still want school boards elected by Democrats, apparently, or they would have already embraced this idea a long time ago. So we need to. Enough said.
Enough said. Cam, any surprises coming August? What do you think?
Duh. I was going to say there's going to be surprises everywhere because right now the threshold is going to be so small. I don't know. The CD3 for Oklahoma County, that's going to be interesting. I'm excited for that one. So because that comes with the jail trust and all that stuff that's going on in Oklahoma County. So I'm excited for that, but I don't know. This is a weird runoff election. I'll be honest with you. Very weird.
Good point. Tyler, you got the floor. 1 minute, no interruptions. You're the youngest voice of this table tonight and one of the youngest voices in Oklahoma political media. What's your headline from last night that the rest of us are missing? And as a representative of your generation, what are they talking about that nobody on the podcast or cable news will mention?
Okay, 1 minute here. Let's go. The problem is that no one is talking about it and nobody cares. My age, no one cares. Just honestly, we have been kicked around from the time we were born till now, politically told that we should go somewhere else. You don't want us around. We're a joke. We're the generation that ate Tide Pods. We don't want to work. Well, you raised us, number one. Number two, the vote, well, not number two, but the voter turnout last night was pitiful because they don't feel like they have anything to vote for. They don't feel like they can vote their way out of it. And I just think that the GOP is falling apart and there's nothing to vote for. So yesterday I did a poll on my Snapchat and asked who was voting. About 87% of people said they were not voting and they don't care. So the big news is that no one my generation cares, and we have to fix that. Because what did we have? Maybe 10% of Oklahoma's population turn out and vote. And you know who that was? That was older people. That wasn't the younger people. The younger people don't care to make their voices heard because they feel like it doesn't matter, which is just not true. It matters so much. Federal level, sure, maybe they'll rig it. They stole the election from Trump in 2020 for sure. But state level and local, it does matter. Your vote does matter. Federal level, you can argue with me all day. It probably doesn't matter. They will probably just influence it and rig it. But state and local, it matters absolutely, and we have to get more people turning out and voting, especially at the state level.
All right. So last night was a strong night for President Trump in Oklahoma. Down ballot, voters made a change in the treasurer's office and shut down the minimum wage. I want to say that what we all know, that Oklahoma Republican voters are loyal as long as they stay engaged. This is the secret to winning. They gave Mazzei the launching pad his campaign needed. They made the change again in the treasurer's office while respecting the service of a great man in Todd Russ, and they voted down the minimum wage. Okay, if we weren't engaged, this would never have become a possibility. August 25th is 69 days away. Drummond and Mazzei get to do this all over again, but this time without 9 people sitting across the table. I want to thank Mike Reynolds, a good friend, Tyler Henderson. For you guys, I want you to go visit his podcast, the Tyler Henderson Podcast on YouTube. We'll post
It's actually the Tyler Henderson Show.
The Tyler Henderson Show, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll put the link. Put the link in the comments after the show. And Cam, of course, cool dude Cam. He's been a friend for a long time, and we enjoy doing this podcast. To beat the Facebook algorithm on conservative media, we need you guys to share, comment, and tag. I would hate to move this onto YouTube, but we might have to. It's much freer there. But I'm your host, Rarchar Tortorello, and this was the Patriot Sentinel. I want to wish you guys all a good night, and thank you all for tuning in tonight. Have a good week.